Hello, I'm Cass Dowding, and this is The Sentimental Gardener, a gardening podcast that's not just a gardening podcast. I chat with people who share their stories about how plants and gardens have helped them reconnect with themselves, others, and the natural world around us. What happens when a forgotten patch of earth becomes the thread that connects everything? Your past, your healing, your purpose, and an entire city's future? When 12 years of chronic illness leads not to bitterness, but to creating Australia's first urban wildlife corridor? This is exactly what happened to Emma Cutting, my guest today. And friends, this conversation will change how you think about small acts of care and their ripple effects. Emma is the founder and CEO of Heartscapes, and she's doing something pretty incredible, connecting Westgate Park to the Royal Botanic Gardens through 200 smaller gardens across 8 kilometres of Melbourne, creating pathways for our native pollinators and, as it turns out, for human connection too. But Emma's story doesn't start with grand visions of urban transformation. It starts with a little girl on a farm in Byron Bay who noticed some impatiens around a coral tree. It winds through decades of classical piano and flying over the world in cabin crew, and then 12 long years of chronic fatigue syndrome that left her isolated in the city of Melbourne. And maybe that's what makes Emma's work so compelling here. She understands what it feels like when life goes barren, when connection feels impossible, and when you're desperate for just a tiny piece of open ground to look after. Emma's also a mum and a piano teacher, an amateur plantswoman and a photographer. But really, she's someone who discovered that sometimes the thing that heals us is the same thing that we're called to heal. As Emma says, the land does want to heal. Nature wants to be here with us. Emma Cutting, welcome to the Sentimental Gardener podcast.
Hey, Cass. It's great to be here.
It's so lovely to be with you today. When I start these podcasts, we always start back with your earliest memories of gardens. So what are your early memories of being in a garden or with plants?
Well, I think I took your question quite literally when I was thinking about it. And no one's actually asked me this before. So I had to really delve into what were I took it as my earliest memories of gardening. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't thought about this since I did it, probably. Mm-hmm. This is 35 years ago. I grew up on a farm inland from Byron Bay. Mm-hmm. It was really small, so it's only 20 acres, but it felt really big, to me. And when my parents bought it, it was dirt. Okay. And they brought it back to life. Mm-hmm. That idea of regeneration, we didn't talk about the word regeneration, but that was just what we were doing. Mm-hmm. Even though my dad did use sprays and things like that on the orchards, there was a huge connection to particularly birds, our wildlife. Never talked about insects, but I'm sure we'll get into that. Anyway, so back to the earliest memories. Yeah. There were some, I looked it up. I could remember what the flowers were in my head. I had to actually search them. Like, what were these flowers? They were impatiens. Oh. And they were impatiens that had been at some point planted around these coral trees. And I don't know, by my mum, she wasn't a gardener, so it was really strange that it was like that. And I'd noticed that there'd been some rocks, the impatiens and the coral tree. And so I'd noticed that no one had ever looked at them. The impatiens were everywhere. And I went, well, what about we clean them up? And so me and my sister, I honestly could not tell you how old I was. I was not old though. And so kind of we took over this little spot and we cleaned up all the rock edges and cleaned up the impatiens and then got our dad somehow to move a fern into there and weirdly, what came up with this, like, I really like clean boundaries. And that it's exactly what now I like. I love, to have the looseness in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have those neat lines around the edge. I went, oh, that's interesting. And then I went, oh, my colouring in's the same, actually. Okay, all right. So anyway, so that was completely organic. Although I would say as well, we had a big veggie garden, so we were always down there. We'd have to pick the silver beet for the silver beet pie. Mm-hmm. I remember one year where we had these insane amount of strawberries, so many strawberries, we had no idea what to do with them. I mean,
oh, wow.
What a dream. So Mum would make these incredible pavlovas and just dump kilos of strawberries on top. But yeah, I mean, we were in a garden, basically. We lived in this land that was just beautiful. And it was that was where I felt really safe. And next to the coral tree was the big place where we had our bonfires. Again, this was me and my sister having bonfires. I mean, no parental supervision at all. And then there was, the hoop pine right next there where Mo, our tawny frogmouth, fell out of the tree. So we had a pet tawny frogmouth.
Wow.
And then there was, the little possum, the possum, who we brought up. It was just the most beautiful brush tail ever. And, we used to have him climb all the trees. So this whole area was, our garden.
It sounds so just idyllic.
It really was. That part was.
That part.
And, it was absolutely my escape from, a lot of abuse that was happening in the household. Mm-hmm. So, and nature was my family. Nature was where I felt safe. And so this was, it was a brilliant time to be able to experience this because then later on I was able to compare that to when I had CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, right through my 20s into my 30s. And I didn't have access to nature. So I was very isolated. And I didn't have access. So I have these two parts of my life that I can compare, where I had access to nature, where I didn't. And I just, it's only been recently that I've thought about that and put those things together. But that's a very, very powerful, sorry, that's the cuckoo clock in the background. It's not random European birds going off in the house.
I wondered if I had something on my computer that was playing a track. It's very lovely.
I love it. I love cuckoo clocks. I've always had a thing for them. And the last couple of years I got one and it's been the best thing. Oh. And I get that look. I knew the look. It was the cuckoo clock look. I'm like, what's that?
What is that? No, it's beautiful. It's almost like someone's doing a live edit and putting in sounds like a radio station as we go. Yeah. Lovely. Okay, well, I'll probably play a bit later on too, won't it?
Yep.
I love that. What just stuck out to me then when you were talking about your experiences, life with garden at your back door or just outside the step and then life without.
Hugely powerful. Being so sick for so long, it was, and it was here in South Melbourne. So I love South Melbourne, but it is very sealed and I really didn't, I would find that the couple of times where I got to go out into the green outside the city and just be in the bush, I reacted very strongly in a bad way to coming back. I get really down. I look back and go, I got super grumpy. I didn't want to do it. Now, though, with the work that we're doing and have done, particularly just even what we've done around the house, me and my daughter. Yeah. When we drive back in, cool, it's city. And then it gets greener as we get closer to home. And it's just beautiful. It makes me happy every time rather than what it used to make me feel. I mean, that, and I suppose feeling that way about the city and that feeling of, if I really had to sum it up, it was this feeling of the earth couldn't breathe. As hokey as that sounds, it really was absolutely how I felt. And street gardening really got me flipping my thinking around not focusing on what was, a problem and focusing on what you could do. And I think that's been a huge and I've practiced this for many years now, because there's so much, of course, you can focus and you can go so low so quick, with so many things now. But yeah, it's very much a what can you do, and then focus on doing as much of that as possible.
Okay. So they're your early memories of being in a garden, and now your work with Heartscapes is that it's a charity where you help other people with street gardening. But what was the journey between those early days and getting to the point where you found street gardening?
Well, I was just coming out of those 12 years of CFS, and we moved here to this home where we're recording right now. And that was 12 years ago. And I had a little garden at our old place, but still not much. And here, I was much better. I was much weller.
Okay.
But as you can see out the back, there's nothing open there. It's all paved. And there was Judy next door and Penny down the road, and then Callum further down. And they were all street gardening. They were all doing their thing. They were pottering. So there was already a culture there.
Yeah.
And Judy had put some flowers, like a couple of flowers around the front, out in the little space around the tree out the front of our house. And I thought, well, why don't I try that? It's the only open ground. So I was desperate for some open ground. EJ, my daughter, wasn't anywhere on the scene yet. So I started this, and it really hit me hard, like the power of it. I think for many reasons. I had been so isolated for so long, and also I'd been quite isolated even before that, I suppose, in some ways, doing a lot of piano. There was 10 years when I did a whole lot of stuff that was all over the place, all over the world. I was cabin crew with Emirates and did a lot of, selling Japanese antiques and stuff like that. But there'd been, a lot of time where I'd been away from people by myself. So this has the best of both worlds, right, I reckon. And so you can do something on your own that's really useful, that is getting your hands into something. And, it's a challenge as well. It's, it's always to bring this, okay, this patch is going to come back to life. Well, okay, well, what will it take? And you're doing all this by yourself, but then because of how you work and because of where you are, there's all these people that talk to you on, as you go by. And it's just I think because people are drawn to it for many reasons, but this is me looking back. I didn't realise this at the time, but I think because you've got a clear role in the street. You're obviously doing something, and then people are really curious as to what that is. And you're working quietly. As soon as you see, as soon as you see anyone doing any works in public realm, and it's noisy, there's the high vis, it's bright, it's noisy.
So
what do you want to do? You don't want to go towards it. You want to go away from it. So one of the things that I love about street gardening is that it is quiet and it does draw people in. And anyway, that was me again. That's me looking back on it. But just I think the fact that I was doing something useful and that it was really helping me, and I could talk to all these amazing people that were really positive about what I was doing.
Okay.
It was so powerful. I mean, I can't even describe how powerful it was. It was more just, it was such a deep, no-brainer. I've got to do it. Look at how this is helping me, and if this helps people even a fraction of how it's helping me, then wouldn't that be an amazing thing?
What's the space out the front that you?
Oh, it's
is it less than 1 metre by 1 metre?
It's probably about 2 by 1.5 metres. Yeah. So really not big. And there was a small tree in there to start with. And that little garden then turned into 6 in a row.
In the same street?
Yeah, in the same street. And I built the edging. I look back and go, naive street gardener.
Did you have impatience in those little first
No, I didn't. No, never planted one since. They just happened to be in that spot. I don't have a affinity with the plant at all, actually.
Do you remember what you planted?
To start with, I tried some edibles, and some herbs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I actually put the lemon verbena in. It's still there.
Oh, wow.
And then that was the one straight out the front.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I branched out, it was more, then I started looking into, well, how can sure, that's great. We're doing street gardens and that's really good. Mm-hmm. Then I started looking at honeybees. I'm like, well, maybe we can create some forage for honeybees. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be great? So I started looking into this, and that led me to native bees.
Okay.
And that led me to a big what the moment, because as I've mentioned, nature was a big part of our lives growing up, huge part. I would read National Geographics, all the time. Like it was, I loved nature. I thought I was going to be a vet and a wildlife carer as well. And there's still time for that. I could still be that. But I think it was learning about native bees.
Okay.
And when I learned about native bees, I just went, this is incredible. They need a lot more help than honeybees. Mm. And then I started really going down the rabbit hole about what to plant. Yeah. And because being me, I always want to be as successful as possible at whatever I do. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't then go down, actually probably wasn't just one rabbit hole, it was many rabbit holes. But then I think it started turning into, it was herbs and then natives.
Okay.
And then, you start, you plant things and there's a whole lot that don't work, of course. But then we did those 6. Then I went across the road to a bigger site, and I think that's where it really started. Mm. That's where you could see the difference, just across the road. Mm. There was so many people that would walk past this site with so many dogs going down to the lake. Mm. So it was much more public, even though it was so, such a small, hop, skip away. And that then I had this idea of creating the bee gardens. So this site turning into bee gardens. So it's an acronym for bees, education and environment.
I love it.
I was going to stop there. I was really happy to have this site be this kind of, it's next to a little reserve. And so it was next, thinking what a great place to demonstrate all the different ways that we can transform these barren patches of public land. So then I did, crash course in exotics and indigenous and natives, and in all these, I did a lizard garden. So I was learning all this stuff as I was going. I'd pitched to council. Council were actually really amenable to the idea. And
because it was this bee garden was on council land, was
yes.
it?
So this is public realm. Public realm, council land. Yeah, it's good that you clarified that, because not all public realm is council land at all.
Okay.
And so I pitched to them. They said yes. They even moved a tree, which now I look back and go, what? And then we started, and this was 2019, so it was just before COVID. And then COVID.
And Melbourne COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that hit. And we kept going. So we were raising money. And I was also communicating back to council all the time. I was sending them pictures so they knew exactly what I was up to. Then there was someone that put in a complaint about potential safety issues. And it just all went pear-shaped. And yeah, there was that, but also that was really the start of my journey.
Okay.
Really that site was the first of 2 campaigns that I led. This particular site, when you say things get bad with council, people go, oh, yeah, I know. But like, no, it really did get bad to the point where there was an external inquiry into the handling. It would have been tens of thousands of dollars into the handling of this site by council. That's probably, there was one point where there was red tape, actual red tape, around all the gardens.
Oh, literal,
I use this image and I laugh about it
now. You can laugh now, but probably at the time you cried. Yeah.
Oh, it was traumatic for me. Because it was so I know a lot of the tactics that are used now. So I'm but this was all new. I really thought that, things could be worked out in a reasonable way, which is that's not how it works. But I will say what was fantastic about that, because there were other issues as well. There were plants being poisoned. There was a local issue, and it was signage. Yeah. So there was a whole nother thing in there, which would but I ended up, it was so full on.
So basically they were like, you got to stop. We don't want
We had
this.
to stop works at one point. And that, when I said stop works and the red tape was up and we weren't touching anything, that's when another neighbour, Jenny, on the next street across, came to me and said, would you help me with my garden?
Oh.
And I went, that's it. I just slapped my knee, by the way.
Yeah.
That's it. Because why am I putting this is where I just went, I'm going big.
Yeah.
Because why would I put all my eggs in one basket where this could happen? Okay, we're going to have gardens everywhere. So if the council want to take one away, then that's fine. We'll go somewhere else. We'll go to the neighbour's place. And this is what was going through my, they're never going to make me feel like this again.
Right.
This was my thing.
Yeah.
And so helpless and unreasonably so. And so for me, that was great. So I went over there and, there's a whole other story on Napier Street where there was a beautiful street gardener for many decades, Ines.
Right.
She passed away. Then nothing had been done. And then Jenny was kind of venturing out. And so after about a year, this was when people were going, well, can I do something now maybe? So, anyway, I helped that. And then a whole lot of stuff happened on Napier Street and around during that COVID period. And then also during that time, Costa had, met Costa and he had done Gardening Australia story. And it was actually on that day, it was one of the most awesome reflection days for me.
Okay.
Because I'd had EJ and, having a baby during COVID. I was trying to work.
Wow.
It was really quite intense and there was not really a day off where you could do something different. So that day was really slow. The crew were amazing and just super, super professional. It was super chilled. And, you had to walk slowly around with Costa because everyone just stopped him all the time. So it was a fantastic thing. And why I brought it up was because really on that day, even though I'd been thinking about it and mulling a little bit, that was the day where the crew packed up and went, okay, it's time to get serious about this wildlife corridor that I really want to do. And I needed to think about, a lot of people going, can you help us here? Can you help us here? I'm like,
okay.
I really want to prove out this idea about the power of street gardening. I really want to, so pick an area. Plus there's I'm learning about native bees. Plus I'm talking to all these people going, oh, wow, Westgate Park's almost 100 acres. Oh, Royal Botanic Gardens almost 100 acres, but actually there are species that haven't turned up in Westgate Park yet. Why not? Oh, they're both really isolated. So I'm learning about all this in all these talks and I'm learning about Indigenous plants. So I'm doing all of this. So this is all this melting pot of
You sound
learning.
like you're connecting the dots.
Yes.
Like you went, okay, all right, and you could see it.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent probably all in all about 2 years getting the design of the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor up and going. But during that time, we were also still creating gardens. So it was I've had so by the time it really came to fruition, I'd had a lot of experience creating gardens.
Yeah.
Saying that though, I had scaled to a point, but not really scaled. Definitely the last 2 years, last 3 years, I'd say, we've done much bigger sites, and that was definitely the next learning curve on top of it. So the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor, which is. It is, as you mentioned, it's Australian First Initiative. So we're looking at connecting Westgate Park to Royal Botanic Gardens. with a wildlife corridor for our native pollinating insects. And this is going to be, and it already is, it's community driven, but ecology centered. So really based on a lot of science, and also, it's using our street gardening approach from my decade now of experience, along with an interdisciplinary approach. So I went and spoke to, I think it was directly about the MPC, around 30 scientists and specialists.
Oh, wow.
So I got to, it's one of my favourite things to do, which is ask lots of people, different fields of expertise, the same question.
Right.
Which is, it's just like, it's so exciting. Then you get the same answer, but from a different,
different perspective.
Different facets. So we were looking at the problem, of how to do this.
And what was the problem? How to connect the two?
I suppose, the whole thing is a big problem to solve, really. So, it's a systemic, it has to be thought of systemically.
Okay.
So there are lots of different ways to solve this. You're looking at, this is public realm, and how do you change public realm? Yeah. Then there's a policy issue. Yeah. Then there's aesthetics, and then there's what works with the science, and how does that work with aesthetics? Yeah. And so there were all these things, like what could it look like? I suppose the question that I was trying to get an answer to at that point was, okay, if this is all an experiment, which you could see it was, it's a gigantic experiment, how could we have the best chance of success?
Awesome. Yeah.
So it could totally fail. But again, with me, I'll go quite deep in how to have the best chance of success. So, so now we're at a point where we've got 46 gardens of the 200. So we're aiming for 200 gardens. The reason is it's pretty simple, actually. It's because it's about 8 kilometres. And if you break that down into 50-metre lots, it's 200 gardens. And the reason why we're trying for that 50 metres, no more than 50 metres apart, is because our smaller native bees don't really travel farther than that.
Oh, I've always wondered why. Okay, so the distance, and you obviously, some scientists have given you the life cycle and mapped that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we've got, I spent a long time walking and driving in these areas, working out. So, it's not, even though this is really densely urban, it's a densely urban landscape. It's some of the most urban in Melbourne. And there's, to my knowledge, in the MPC, there's no remnant vegetation, but there is habitat. And so this is, for me, what I wanted to figure out was where the habitat was, or where the pretty good habitat was. Yep. And then go, is that possible to then connect that? Yes, okay. So what's in the middle of the MPC, what's in the middle of the two sites? There's the light rail right in the middle, which is fantastic. It's got a lot of trees of the right, of Maltesers. It's just some great habitat in there. So then you're starting to go, it's a big project, and it looks ridiculous sometimes. I must admit, it still gets ridiculous to me, but it's very, very possible.
Okay, so it's doable.
Very possible.
Yeah.
And it's very possible, even if you did, you can take it in, we'll connect Westgate Park to the light rail, or light rail to Botanic Gardens, or let's connect this little spot here. And one of the aspects of the design is that we're taking the path of least resistance. Okay. So I've had funders, potential funders say, we want to see all those gardens, all the sites mapped out. It's like, it doesn't work that way. And, to find 200 sites and to get all the permissions, and that's, okay. But what we can do is take the path of least resistance. It's much better when people come to us with a site. Okay. Might not always be that way. Yeah. But it's much, much better. Yeah. You've already just crossed a whole lot of, steps. You've gone through a whole lot of steps already. You've got them on board. Yeah. So, but it's absolutely possible. And this is the thing, it's just a matter of doing it. And actually, I didn't even mention that after that first campaign, a year later, was the big campaign that I led, and that was around changing the guidelines, the nature strip guidelines
Okay.
that were about to come into the entire municipality of City of Port Phillip. And
Okay.
that was, we won that.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of not only that we were able to get for council and community a workable and reasonable set of nature strip guidelines. It took 10 months of my life.
Wow.
Unbelievable journey. But I'm really proud of how that campaign was rolled out. I definitely did the Michelle Obama, which was when they go low, you go high.
Yeah, I love that. So good.
I said that to myself a lot as well.
Yeah, just to keep going.
And I learned, and I would say that probably 2 years after that, it was very tough to recover from. I had to recover. But the flow-on effects now, and that's a few years ago now, the flow-on effects from it have been quite incredible. And I was definitely thinking more at the time. I knew what a regressive set of nature strip guidelines would do to the hundreds of street gardens that were around this area at that time. Because basically it would make these gardens non-compliant.
Right.
Pretty much 100% non-compliant. And it wasn't that the council would come out the next day and bulldoze them all down.
Okay.
Wasn't that.
Okay.
It was the fact that, paper cuts, it could be death by 1,000 paper cuts. You could just, and it would be completely on council's terms and who the council officer was at the time and whoever, what they thought, whether they thought that garden needed to go or not. So now we have, people can start their street gardening journey.
Okay.
And they have wiggle room.
Yeah.
And they have some, dare I say it, some power over what they can do. There's still constraints. And I think it's very important to have constraints. When you're not aware of what happens in public realm, you're not used to working in public realm, you can go, why can't I just plant this and I'll plant roses and I'll plant this? No, that's probably not great because of the amount of people. It is public realm. It's called public realm for reasons. In the public, don't plant anything spiky.
Yes.
So it's great to have, and people don't always think of that. And that's understandable.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And I still knew at that point that the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor could go ahead whether we won or lost.
Okay.
Because of the flexibility of the land and how many land options there are. But because we did win, of course, we can use nature strips, which is enormous and it's so cool.
Okay. And that, I suppose, empowers people to become a part of the project, but also, like you said, you don't have to wait for someone to offer up the land or anything like that. Street gardening was a new concept to me before I met you back in March, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I'd heard of the term guerrilla gardening.
Yep.
And I naively put the two together, that you just go out and put plants in a public space. So I live in the suburbs, southeastern suburbs. We have big, long nature strips.
Oh, the dream.
I know.
Did you see my face?
I know. And a lot of them get used to park the cars because there's not enough car parking spaces. But anyway, we have a roundabout at the top of our court, and a lot of the locals have gone and put plants in because otherwise it was tan bark and I don't know the name of plant, maybe a gazini or something that just spreads and will tolerate anything. And then I'm presuming it's the council come every 3 months and they spray the edge with weed killer. I know.
Yep.
So my old neighbour who used to live next door, she'd go and weed the garden. But it was really interesting because another neighbour thought I was weeding, but I'm like, no, that's the other neighbour. But the point I'm trying to get to is I always call that guerrilla gardening. But you're talking about street gardening with guidelines and working with the people who help to manage the land. So is that right? You're working with everyone for the good of people and the good of pollinators and helping to connect them. Yeah.
Yeah. You've spoken about it really well. It's actually reasonably complicated. Again, I think a lot of people put street gardening, guerrilla gardening in the same box, and I had to work out what street gardening meant to me. So this is when I talk about what street gardening is, it's to me and it's to Heartscapes. So other people I know have different meanings.
Okay.
So for me, Okay. Street gardening is working within, there's a few things, but part of it is working within constraints of the site. It's pretty well known that guerrilla gardening is working illegally on land.
Yeah.
Now, there's a place for guerrilla gardening. I'm not saying that there's not, because there absolutely is, and that's one way of creating change. But I think when I'm thinking about getting as many people on board as possible, getting funding for this, people won't put funding in when they know that there's a chance, when it's not allowed, basically. Like, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. And also, having gone through what I've been through, I'm very happy to work within constraints, but not with authorities. And so that's been my aim. The other things around street gardening is that I think the mindset's really important, and so it's getting to know the people, which I think is probably the most important thing, because one of the reasons is because when you're not there, which is most of the time, they're the ones taking care of the garden for you. They're the ones looking out for it. So get to know them, and then also get to know the land, of course. But interestingly, you're talking about roundabouts, and roundabouts would probably not, that's probably guerrilla gardening, what your neighbourhood's doing. Because, so it's really interesting. There's blurring, and people go, well, why can't, they might see a spot there and they might see a spot over there. And they go, why can I go there, but why can't I go over there?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, which is public realm is a very interesting place. I call it the Wild West of gardening, street gardening. Yeah.
And I've heard you describe, it's actually a different type of gardening. Well, you classify it as a different type of gardening. Can you share more about that?
I think because of the different challenges and expectations and the different opportunities, I think it is its own type of gardening. I think it's different from private realm. It's different from government plantings.
Okay.
Because, again, of the combination of what it requires. It requires you to get to know the land, but it really requires you to have this community-centred feel and this determination to bring this land back to life, which is, probably hasn't been looked after for a really long time. And I think as soon as you think about it as its own type of gardening, it helps everyone. It helps everyone, because then you can also manage people's expectations, because it's just the challenges are different.
Yeah.
What makes a great street garden is different, really. And what goes into making a great street garden is very different to what goes into a private garden. No one goes there.
Yeah,
so
true. It's
very different. You can clip a leaf and it's going to stay, perfect. You can do that. It doesn't work like that in public realm. Anything can happen. You've got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
You've got to embrace it.
Yeah.
So many good things outnumber the negatives, but the negatives can be quite challenging.
Yeah. So you've described street gardening beautifully as its own type of gardening, and you've got this big vision for the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor to connect the Royal Botanic Gardens with
Westgate
Park, yep, and the 8 kilometres of 200 gardens in between. So I've been listening.
Nice work.
So you've been through all those challenges to get to this point. What are the next steps for the charity?
We're at a really interesting point because we have been through all the policy. We've actually, our way is clear regarding policy, which is practically unheard of for grassroots projects. So that's the big one. It's normally where grassroots project any type just gets undone completely. So we've made it through. It's like, okay, well, what now? So yes, we have a charity, and that's Heartscapes. So Heartscapes is creating the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor.
Yeah.
And so we've been set, so me, when I say we, it's me and Doris, who's my 2AC, and she's actually celebrating her 2-year anniversary with Heartscapes today.
Yay, congratulations, Doris.
Thanks, Doris. Thank you.
Big shout out to Doris.
Absolutely. She volunteers so much of her time. There's a little bit of pay in there, but it's not nearly enough, and I'm working so hard to be able to do that and to be able to pay her, but she just gives so much. It's incredible. There's the two of us, and we've really been setting this up I was very lucky 3 years ago. I secured a Kenneth Myer Innovation Fellowship.
Oh, wow.
So it came at a very good time just after my husband had just left me. So I was destitute. Okay. And so I had this amazing grant for a year.
Wow.
And I was able to do a lot of the starting to learn about how to do this, how to set up a charity. It's enormous. And it just stays enormous. It's crazy. So there's the MPC, which is big enough, and then setting up all the systems behind the scenes so that the MPC can become a sustainable entity.
Okay.
So we want this to succeed. So we could easily create 200 gardens.
Right.
But the biggest thing is in the management. Yeah. It's not just in the creation.
Yeah.
It's the management of these gardens, which is where the power is, not only for community and how to change how community sees conservation in the cities, but also for our pollinators and for our critters. They need healthy gardens long term in order to be able to move and to be able to increase in numbers and increase in species. So though there's probably about 20 sites that I could probably start on tomorrow.
Right.
But we can't do that yet because the MPC is managed by volunteers. So the big thing that we're working on right now, me and Doris, that we're working on right now is just really doing a big deep dive into the volunteer world.
Okay.
It's been fascinating. Again, it's like, oh, geez, it's so big. But we want to do things properly as well. We want to be able to scale. We're trying to set up foundations that we can scale on, not just patch together as we go. So we're really, both of us are in, I love this. I love that she agrees with me on this, that do it properly from the beginning. Now, of course, there are going to be things that we learn more about as we go. When I look back on our journey and I go, there are things that we could have done. I don't see them as mistakes because we've given it our best. I mean, it's not worth seeing them as mistakes because you can learn from them, sure.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start getting to that feeling, failed. I wish I'd done that better. I'm like, you don't want to go there. It just pulls you down. And for me,
it uses energy too, doesn't it? And you haven't got time for that as a mum and you're working, running a charity.
I don't. No. And I think, again, coming out of CFS, I am, my energy is extremely precious to me. And I still have to manage it carefully. I still do too much sometimes. But it's, yes, I'm also determined to make up for lost time. Yeah, There's a lot of time where I was on autopilot. So I'm like, right, let's change the world as much as I can. And, my daughter really, really drives me.
Okay.
In order to look her in the eye each day. I absolutely feel I need to do this not for her only, but for her generation. I digress though, because it came back to where we're at.
The volunteers.
So we're really looking at this and how to get to the people that want to, create positive change. How do we do that? How do we speak to them? And then how do we recognise them? So we've just been setting up a recognition program, which has been so much fun. God,
I thought you were going to say so much work, but no.
Oh, it's been so much work.
Yeah.
It's so much fun though. Yeah. It was so, Doris and I developed these certificates for 10 sessions, 25, 50, 75. And, these are really great, not only to thank anyone, but also for people, maybe for uni students that want to, or for school students that want to go for the Duke of Edinburgh Award or or go for scholarships, and they can use this as okay, we've done 50 hours of work with the Heartscapes. It's community engagement. It's in the public realm. So we're really looking at this. But I was skipping that day. I was literally skipping around. The volunteer group were going, what's going on? Bit more energy than usual. And I got,
they were beaming too in the photos that you posted of them, like holding up. 75 hours in, that's spare time that people have to. That is no easy feat in today's world where you got to be everywhere and do everything.
And I am just so grateful. It's amazing actually when volunteers do come along and they go, I've only been able to give 2 hours. I'm like, don't knock that 2 hours because the MPC, the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor, is made up of all of those little 2 hours. And every 2 hour block, every hour that someone gives makes it easier for me to scale. It improves it improves the entire system that we're like, it's all so important. And just having lots of different people involved as well. It's I'm very, very grateful to everyone. There's no way that we could do this without volunteers. I mean, we don't use chemicals.
Okay.
So I know that might sound like a big segue, like a big, what was that?
Yeah.
But we don't use chemicals. And so one of the things, there are many things that we're trying to demonstrate with the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor.
Okay.
Of course, there's a whole lot of well-being and community connection and mental health.
So that's the people part.
That's right. And then there's also the biodiversity part, which is also the people part. That's the human, but it's all connected. But our native pollinating insects don't like chemicals. So I've gone, okay, well, and you've got someone like Professor Dave Goulson over in the UK going, in an urban environment, you really don't need to be using chemicals. Okay. So I've taken that and gone, well, he's a leading expert. I'm going to not use chemicals. But what does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you have to set up in order to be able to do that and to create successful gardens for nature with a capital N, for biodiversity?
Okay.
So what we do need is people power.
Okay.
And that's so that's the big thing, because of course with resources, as far as funding resources so limited, this is, we just need people to go, okay, we'll roll up our sleeves and help with whatever needs to be done out in the gardens.
And do they have to be from that area, or can people just come in?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
in fact, anyone that wants to do some street gardening and wants to get some experience, probably come along. I lead all the gardening sessions, you get to work.
And it is done through a gardening session, like they're set times. It's not just like, oh, I'll head down there in the afternoon because I'm walking past. Or
some of our more experienced volunteers do that now, but I recommend people start out in the sessions first rather than.
Yeah, but that's great to know, isn't it? Because like if I was like, I'd love to volunteer, but I don't know how to do it. Knowing that someone would guide you and teach you, and that's part of it, makes it a lot more, less of a barrier.
Oh, absolutely. And I think having done this for a couple of years now, and Doris has been volunteer manager for, about that 2-year mark, we've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about managing expectations of people coming in. So even people and it's been very interesting. And I actually learned this with Doris because she's an experienced gardener.
Okay.
And she came to these sessions and I was like, oh, we'll just do some watering over there. And I didn't explain anymore. And Doris was like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'd explain. She goes, well, that's not what I would have done. So it got me thinking. It's like, oh, hang on. I think, what we're doing, it has its own techniques.
Yeah.
And of course, I would say I haven't just made this stuff up. Yeah. It's coming from permaculture. It's coming from, watching a lot of people. It's coming from watching how not to do things in public realm as well.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot through my life about what not to do. But this has got me thinking about managing people's expectations. So even if they're really experienced horticulturalists, sometimes that actually it's often very different. They're different skills. It's different. We look at watering differently. We have to look at building up the soil. We don't, we use mulch. We don't use scoria. Like there's a whole, for all reasons, for valid reasons. Yep. There's just different ways we do it. It's really interesting, and I love having new people on board. And we've got such a great core crew, but we can't create any more gardens until we expand our volunteers.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a really interesting time now. But saying that, it's still me learning, so much about comms, marketing.
Yeah.
And
so do you need people to come on board and help with that if they could volunteer? Or what's the dream for you? Do you want a team behind you to help manage
the dream.
it? Yeah.
The dream.
Give me the big dream. What's your North Star? Where are you going?
Well, definitely if we were to create the 200 gardens, we'd probably need about an active volunteer pool of about 250 to 300 people.
Okay. How many have you got now?
We have a volunteer pool of 40.
Okay.
And yeah, so it obviously and we're right at our limit right now. And so there's that. But of course, there's all this stuff that I'm doing that I really can't continue to do if I'm to continue leading the Pollinator Corridor. So there's a lot in even just funding. There's philanthropy. There's fundraising. Then there's all the comms to do with that. And then there's grants. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And I do all of that. And there's, yes. So.
Yeah. So you need help.
Yeah. I have definitely learnt though that, for anyone that does come on board, it's you have your position descriptions. You do it again properly, and I'm so proud of what we've done so far.
Yeah, so awesome.
It's a young charity, so we're about 4 years old from where we've come, which is nothing.
Yeah,
having never done it before.
Yeah.
Any of it. My background is as a classical pianist.
Yeah. On paper, this is not meant to be a success. Do you know what I mean?
No.
But it is, and it's making its way to, and it's revealing itself like it has and it needs to be made. So I think that is just incredible in itself. Like, it's almost like, you're following that. Yeah.
The whole thing is every single day. I only recently started to use this word. I don't know why, but brave. Every day I have to be brave. Every day I have to go, it's a new day. And literally, when I say a new day, I mean it's new. There's newness in every day. And I suppose the other meaning of the words is a new day. Okay, right, we'll just start again. But it's the challenges that we face. Like, there's the gardening challenges. Then there's the operational, so there's the charity. Then there's, of course, been through a whole lot of policy challenges. There's so many different types of challenges, and they all happen every day. And I've been through so much. I mean, just the gardening challenges themselves, like, have been so interesting when you're out in public realm. 99.9% of people are amazing. But of course, you can never please everyone. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And I'm saying it, I'm doing a never, ever, ever.
So you've obviously had some comments and
I mean, I've had everything probably happen to me other than getting beaten up.
Oh, wow.
So, it's because we scale, the problems are on scale.
Well, then what's the nicest, or what's the thing that someone said to you
that's the good
touched?
Stuff.
No, but because, I just know, like, the negatives stick, right? And it can take one person and that will set you back.
It can.
And,
It used to.
Oh,
it doesn't
anymore.
Oh, it doesn't anymore.
It doesn't?
No
okay.
way.
Well, how do you get to that point?
Practice.
Okay.
But also, again, a lot of things that I've been through have really made me I'm a very determined person. And I think going through the huge challenges, what I've noticed, and this is with every challenge that I've been through, no matter how big or small, is that every challenge presents great opportunities. There's a lot of good that comes out of challenges. The thing is, you don't always know where it's going to come from, who it's going to come from. I'm talking about sport. You don't know where. It's not always where you think it's going to come from or from whom, but it does.
Yeah.
And I think when you know this, that's the big thing about street gardening, is to focus on the awesome, like focus on the positive. There is so much positive. And you're right, it is easy to focus on the negative. So, at one of our sites, it's been pulled apart twice in the last 4 years. But I've gone back and I've been there, and I would definitely say that both times, little tear, then I get into it. And it builds up this resilience where you start to see a bigger picture, where it's a garden, it's going to grow back. And actually what's really beautiful when you do spend a couple of days fixing it up is that you're talking to all the locals there.
Yeah.
And they are so appreciative of the work. And the big thing about that particular garden, which is near public housing, is that they're so grateful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And that's what I mean when, you might have the one person that does that, but a garden grows back. You're talking, you're connecting with these people, and these people know that when you're caring for the garden, they absolutely see it as you caring for them.
Yeah.
So when you're coming back, and it's a trust thing as well, it's taken a long time to build up trust in that area, and they know that I will come back even though that happens. I'm not going to be scared away by one person. What's the good in that? Seriously. So I think that the good that comes out of challenge, you learn so much out of this as well about your plants. So this person had really gone to town and pulled these Myoporum. I had to cut them to the ground. I went, well, see how they go. Of course, they were fine. This is a lesson in how hard can you prune. You can prune them hard. So 2 years later, I cut them to the ground again.
Yeah.
And that's, I know that I can do that. So there's so much good that comes out of it. I think that's the biggest thing to learn. It's hard to see when you haven't been through a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I hope that people can trust me on it to a point anyway, that the community support from around the council issues was just so overwhelming. And when you say something, you asked me what was something beautiful that happened, endless. I get presents on my doorstep.
So wonderful.
I got cards in the mail. The people that had written such beautiful letters and taken the time to written beautiful letters to the council. None of this is lost on me because that's all energy. I love the beautiful comments. Oh, okay. I have one story that happened the other day. It's actually at this site, at the public housing site. And we'd finished our session and there were three of us and we were standing around having a chat. And there was a guy and he really looked, he was pretty weathered. I hadn't seen him before, all dressed in black. He had his black bag over his shoulder. And he was coming up to us and he was like, oh, how you going? And thank you so much. And so he was thanking us very well. I'm like, oh, great. Well, thanks. Thanks heaps. Doing great work. Then he was talking a bit more about women's equality in the workplace and how we're more emotionally knowledgeable than men, so we should be paid more. And we're like, okay, we'll go along with you. Sure, sure. Great, okay. And he's like, would you like some Maltesers? And we were like, okay, sure. We just, I'm very good at going along with things, and sure, but a little wary. I think he sensed that, and so he put his black bag down, opened up the zip, and there was just full of packets of Maltesers.
Okay.
So he passes us each a packet of Maltesers, the big packets.
Oh, right.
And we're going, oh, okay, great. So he must have sensed a little bit of what, and he goes, don't worry. They're not poisoned. They're just stolen.
Oh, man.
It was the funniest thing and the best. Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah, like he had the best. He was recognizing the good in you, thanking you.
With stolen Maltesers.
I've got something to show my appreciation. But don't worry, they're not poisonous.
That's right. That's right. And this is the stuff that it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff that I hold on to.
But that's the humanness, isn't it, that you've connected to? Because he's a person, and even though he's done a bad thing, he's not a bad person. He's still a human, and you've just drawn out the humanness by planting. This is what I love about this story. Yeah. It's that you've had this life. There's the birds again.
Different birds this time.
You got a resilience, Emma, because of what life threw at you, and you had a choice in how you'd respond.
Yep.
And you've used that resilience in the garden, but your street garden has shown its resilience to you. It's like this mirror.
Yeah.
And you've gone out and you're like, it's a challenge, but we're going to still have a go. And then the plants are like, it's not like you're planting in lush, manure that's been like we're talking about city ground that was industrialized and it's been, walked on. It's not beautiful, pristine land that's built for growth. Yeah, I just wanted to call out that, like,
already for growth.
It
wants growth.
Yeah, okay.
The land does want to heal.
Yeah.
And this is a big thing that I've learned now over time.
Yeah,
it absolutely wants to heal.
Yeah.
And nature wants to be here with us. Really. It is so happy to share.
Yeah.
It's just we have to be ready to share.
And it's like you're learning from each other. You know, you're learning from your community's teaching you, you're learning from the gardens, and I can see that how that vision, why it just is going to grow and happen, because you're tapping into this fundamental thing that life is about, isn't it? Yeah.
Connection.
Yeah.
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 And it's those are the connections, I treasure. I treasure them. Oh. So much. And I try and bottle them up. I bottle them in. Bottle them. Not bottle them up. But I'm actually now trying to get them out. I'm trying to put them on the website. I'm trying to put these stories out now because, and it's one of the things around the embassy, when you talked about the vision, what's the vision? Yeah, the vision is of the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor that's not just about the gardens.
Yeah.
It's about education and engagement, which is what I'm all about, because I've been a teacher for 20 years, but didn't just realise until recently that all I do really is educate, because it's just what I do. But it's a huge part of our work. But also it's about connecting people to the stories of the land, not just, okay, there's a nice garden, the stories of the ecology and the land itself, so the history of the land beyond the 200 years.
Yes. So
and then, absolutely. And my vision, my dream is to have this all in an online integrated program, with augmented reality, in there as well. So people can take a walk. They can do the whole thing. They can do parts. They can, it's a whole lot of urban walking trails that is about conservation in the city, and not just about, but also making people feel good. And, having a project like this in Australia that, Australians can be proud of. It's kind of like the High Line, but super grassroots and for ecology. It's really that's, and I have pretty much had that since the beginning. I must admit, it's only been recently that I've really started to talk about it, and I'm getting a whole lot of, we're starting to get plans, starting to work with the team to get the plan. What does it mean to have that online integrated program? What does it mean to have evaluation happening and research happening over this? How do we monitor this, the growth, or how do we work out whether the species are moving? How do we do this? How do we know whether well-being is increasing? All these amazing questions that are very important for us, but also important for funding.
And so talking about funding, because you're running a campaign at the moment, and so the goal is to raise $7,000. Well, could you share more about what you need?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing an end of financial year campaign. We're raising $7,000, and it's matched to $7,000, which is just fantastic, by a really generous donor. This money, this funding is really needed for our next year in the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor to buy all the materials needed to manage all the gardens properly and to get them into tip-top shape.
Yeah. So you said before with the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor that you've worked with an interdisciplinary approach. Who were some of the key players who've helped you along the way? Like I heard you did a talk recently with James Hitchmo and Nigel Dunnett about the Arts Centre precinct transformation. Yeah. Is that going to become part of the Pollinator Corridor? Or is it a different area?
No, it's part of it.
Yeah.
And I believe it is. I don't know if that's public.
Okay.
Or not, but I have, it's absolute. I will say from my point of view, so when I started looking at those plans, that's when I first got in touch with John Hazelwood from Hassel, who is a key player in the Melbourne Arts Precinct transformation. That's when I started looking at Nigel's work and James's work, and just really going, this is looking at all, being very inspired by all the public realm plantings that are happening in the UK and in Europe. I realised that was a really tricky section for the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor. And I realised when that started to happen, and I went, okay, I think it's possible. I really think this is possible now. So that for me was a clincher for me to really go for it.
Right.
So whether it's seen by other people to be part of the Melbourne Pollinator Corridor or not, for me, it's like whether it is or not, it's helping it all happen. John has been incredible.
Yeah.
John has been a big supporter from the very, very beginning. And I got a meeting through Tim Entwistle, who was the CEO of Bott Gardens at the time. He was an incredible support. And he got me in touch with John. Okay. And I remember sitting online. So it's COVID, so I've got a little one crawling all over me in the background. I'm presenting my beginnings of the MPC to John. And he's like, did you just come up with all that yourself? I went, well, yeah. Because I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? He goes, oh, okay, that's pretty impressive. He's been amazing. Oh. So it's having, and Susie as well, Susie Quinton from Hassel. So landscape architects have been really wonderful. Then there's ecologists like Kylie Soanes, Julian Brown, Professor Nick Williams. Also, when I've asked them for support, when I've asked them for a letter of support, so for instance, with that campaign against council, you know, these people came through and wrote letters of support. I actually, for that campaign, I did put together a very big document on best practice in nature strip guidelines, and I had 20 letters of support from specialists. So again, this is the support where, you know, that I'm so grateful for over the years. But then I've also, you know, spoken to Morag Gamble.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's just
permaculture. Yeah.
What a legend of a person she is. And you know, again, you know, these are people that I approached and they gave me time. And I don't take any of that lightly. Okay. And I'm so, but yeah, so plus so many more.
Yeah, that's so good to hear. I love reflecting on the last, just 4 years. But I wonder if I can change tack now. And I love to ask people about a couple of sentimental stories that they have with either a garden or a plant. So when you see them or something that just brings up a memory or has some type of meaning to you. So are you able to share your first one with us?
Yes. Well, you gave me this question before. I'm glad, because I of course, it got me really thinking. I love plants. I really do, obviously. But there's also more to it than just plants for me.
Right.
And it's about a beautiful garden for everyone. It's also designing for nature first. It's the movement around the plants that I really love.
Yep.
That gets me, that's, but to come back to gardens, I did have a bit of a think, and as I was just glad you were a bit later than I thought you were going to be today, because I was sitting here sobbing away after watching, because I was thinking about gardens that had made an impact on me.
Okay.
I was thinking about this going, well, I loved this film from 1949 called The Secret Garden, and it's the most beautiful version. Actually, I don't think I've even seen the other versions because I can't do it, but it's quite a darkish kind of film, but this garden, the secret garden in there, I watched this as a kid, and I watched it again. I fast forwarded through some of the scenes this morning, but it made such a huge impact on me for many reasons. So there's a boy in a wheelchair who, because of this garden, he gets better. The kids don't want to have tantrums because they've done this garden up. And these are kids that have done up this garden.
Yeah.
They've regenerated this garden. It was in black and white, and then it was in colour. I mean, it's very powerful when you see a film like that. Like that was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And it heals the dad where his wife had died.
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, it heals the people as well. And so there's that. I'd also say, you know, through our journey, we have lost a couple of gardens, two to council and one currently to a developer.
Okay.
And for me, this is going to sound really corny maybe, because I haven't actually talked about this part, but I get a real fire in my gut when these things happen.
Okay.
And I honour those gardens that are with us no more. You'd drive past and you would never know that there was a beautiful meadow there before. You would never know that someone had cared for that little patch. But I do, and I remember, and I will build and create 10 gardens for each of those gardens that are no more. And I mean, I've learned a lot from each of those sites, and I always, again, I honour, those gardens and the work that was done on those gardens by learning and putting that work into other sites. That's something I get sentimental about. I try not to connect. I don't ever call them our gardens or my gardens.
Okay.
It's something because it's everyone's garden.
Yeah.
And I think it's a slippery slope with gardens in public realm to start calling them your own. It's just a slippery slope to feeling quite crap if something happens that's not so good. But with the gardens that have gone and, feeling that sense of loss, I try and channel that into doing good, and I remember them.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. I think I would be the same. Yeah. And it's hard when there's you can't control, like you said, public realm. It's just out of your control, isn't it? And you do your best.
Yep. And
you bring that.
You do. You do your best. Sorry, I just cut you off.
No, that's fine. We're having a conversation. It's all okay.
It's very much I do get upset, but it's also there's so many times where it's not useful to get upset.
Okay.
I think that's the thing. It's knowing that it's not. If I get angry about something, where does that anger actually? I've actually learned to be able to transform channel my anger and frustration and intense sadness and whatever it is. I'm saying to a point here because I'm still in some progress, but I have over the time been able to transform that into positive action.
Okay.
This is through a lot of determination. So there's the feeling, then there's determination, then out pops positivity and right, let's go kind of thing. But again, I think that's what those gardens help me do. And again, it's practice at doing that channeling. Because of course, with the world that we're in right now, it's very, very easy to get so overwhelmed with what's going on, and to be able to know that taking action is the best way. It's the best way to deal with that overwhelm. Chip away. And then people come to me all the time. I suppose there's a little bit of a change in tack, but people come to me all the time and go, oh, really want to do what you're doing. How do we do it? And for me, it's a dream big, but start small. And I think that's the same with, the overwhelm. Sure, feel big, sure, but chip away at it bit by bit.
So wonderful. It's so incredible. I don't want to stop, but we sort of have to. So what we'll do...
I was thinking if I stopped there, I stopped talking, it could be a nice end.
Yeah. Well, let's finish up with some quick fire questions, okay?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
I've never done these before, and I don't know what you're about to ask.
No, this is all with you, isn't it?
Okay.
Pick one. What would you rather be, a butterfly or a bee?
What?
You can only pick one.
Oh no, these are multiple choice.
Well, it
depends on so many things.
No, what comes first is that you can't think. You just got to say what comes to mind.
Bee.
Okay. I'm not surprised.
Sorry, butterflies. I'm so sorry. I just feel terrible.
Okay. Is your dream gardening space a 3-acre property or a verge garden?
3-acre property.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I love verge gardening, but actually I got into street gardening because really my hopes of having land were dashed.
Yeah.
And that wasn't so, and I didn't consciously think about it at all. But somehow I was guided. I needed land and I couldn't go to the country. So I would absolutely take that. But I'm also so grateful for the journey that I'm on. And I love street gardening with my whole being. But when you give me the choice.
One person you'd love to sit with in the street garden that you've made or helped make and listen to their garden stories with over like a cup of tea and a Portuguese tart?
Well, I can't anymore, but Dame Elizabeth Murdoch.
Oh,
I think I would have really, I was very lucky to have met her and to go and have lunch with her.
Oh, wow.
So she heard some of my stories.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to see her garden that day, and her garden is so different from what we do.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it would have been so lovely to show her.
Yeah. That's so beautiful.
You won't need those tissues. Drat.
I've got 2 more.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
These are really intense. Or maybe I'm making them intense.
No.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right.
Number 4.
A garden you still dream of visiting.
Oh, this is...
Pick one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, you can pick a couple, but yeah.
The Highline and Knepp Castle.
Oh, yeah, they're my 2 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll go together.
I also will make the point here that I don't get out much. So if I got to travel to go and see some street gardens in North Melbourne, I'd also be really happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't get out much.
Okay. And last one, one word or sentence to describe how you feel when you're in your garden.
Content.
Beautiful. Emma Cutting, this has been the most educational, inspirational, and all the other adjectives in their podcast to do with you. So thank you so much for your time and for being on The Sentimental Gardener.
Thanks, Cass. I'm sorry if I cut you off a little bit.
No.
I got very excited. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Emma's story reminds us that healing is rarely a solo act. It's reciprocal, mysterious, and often happens in the smallest, most overlooked places. As she transformed forgotten patches of earth on nature strips, they were transforming her right back, awakening something that had been waiting since that little girl first noticed impatience around a coral tree. So here's what I want you to know if you're listening from a place that feels barren, whether that's literal ground or the landscape of your own heart. The desire to flourish is still there. It's patient, it's persistent, and sometimes it just takes one small act of care, planting something, tending something, believing that growth is possible, to remember that you too are capable of extraordinary things. I hope after listening today, you too notice the forgotten corners and see potentials in the overlooked places. That you show up day after day with quiet determination, even when progress feels impossibly slow or you're going backwards. And may you trust that the desire to grow, to connect, to flourish, is written into the very fabric of this world, just waiting for someone like you to tend it back to life. You can support Emma's work through Heartscapes, and they're currently running a fundraiser where every donation up to $7,000 will be matched. Details to donate are in the show notes. If you love this conversation, please consider leaving us a review on Apple or Spotify. It really helps other people to find these stories. And come find me on Instagram at The Sentimental Gardener. A huge thank you to Hayden Schuler from Varaya Gardening for our theme music and to Tom Dowding for sound support. This is the Sentimental Gardener podcast, produced and edited by me, Cass Dowding. This podcast was recorded on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri, Woiwurrung and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nations.